Right, now that we got the engine cover off, it's time to get the engine timing cover off. Now, given the limited space, it's going to be quite a fiddle, trust me. So you're going to have to be patient, and this applies to the entire process, obviously. Now, this is going to be it's going to be quite a fiddle. So all the bolts are the same, save for one on the bottom right. So facing the front of the car, which is slightly longer, so just bear that in mind. All the other ones are the same. And remove the top cover. It just wiggle it away, there you go, and that uncovers the timing mechanism, so to speak. Now, as the old belt needs replacing after 4 years. And here's a quick view of what's awaiting. So there's the tensioner right in the middle, the water pump under it, the intake cam sprocket, and the exhaust sprocket as well. And right in front of that is the ancillary belt, which drives the alternator, and in this case the air conditioning compressor. Now, if you're interested in figuring out how that works, check out this other video that I made about it. Now's a good time to remove the lug nuts, which are the shittiest quality I've ever seen. So if this might happen to you, that one of them has been rounded off, so you grab Jeremy Clarkson's favorite tool and just whack the socket on to get it removed. Now, before obviously we remove all the nuts, it's an excellent idea to set the car on axle stands. Now, this is a part that you mustn't rush at all. Take extra care at this step. Your life literally depends on it, so no compromise. Don't try to cut corners. I set the axle stands on the subframe, which support the car nicely and firmly. So just set them into place nice and easy, and get the car down on it slowly so you can reposition as you go down. Now, as I mentioned, take extra care during this step. Make no compromise. Your life really depends on it. If you're working on your own, like I do most of the time, there's nobody there to save you, except for the jack that I always leave as a measure of security in case something happens. The jack is always there to support the weight. Now is a good idea to check the brake components, for example, discs and pads and so on and so forth, the sway bar links as well, and shock absorbers, the flexible brake hose as well. While you're down there, just give everything a visual inspection and check if anything needs replacing while you're at it. Now, the time to remove the side engine cover. Looks a bit like shark gills right there. I guess it lets the engine breathe to some extent. And take a look at where I placed the axle stand. Quite by chance, the engine was practically aligned its marks itself when I turned the engine off. Fun fact. Probably never happens. What are the odds? And here's a quick view of the rest of the components, so you can figure out where the camera will be sitting during the later episodes. Now is an excellent time to remove the one of the battery poles if you haven't done it already, because we're going to have to remove the starter motor at some point. And moving on to the ignition cover, removing that is a piece of cake. And removing the coils as well. Now, it's a good idea to inspect them right now. They are these coils are really, they cost peanuts. They're dirt cheap, so if they need replacing, you might as well do it now. And also check your HT leads or spark plug leads for the good condition. See if they're not cracked or anything. If they need replacing, now's a good time to do that as well. It's not a very expensive part to replace, so if it needs doing, go ahead. And last but not least, we're going to be removing the spark plugs. This helps to turn the engine over without having the compression, obviously, and makes things much smoother and more accurate as well. Now's a good time also to inspect the gaps of your spark plugs. I believe off the top of my head it's quite exactly 1 millimeter of that, I'm sure. So check that out, measure it, and if it's out of spec, you can always adjust it, and if the little electrode is completely gone, well, just replace the plugs. Essentially what we're looking for on a spark plug is this sort of grayish brown color, which indicates absolutely perfect air to fuel ratio, which is wonderful in this case, and the lambda sensor seems to be doing its work. Thank you all very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and leave a comment, drop a like, and I'll catch you all in the next video.